senators on the panel. I'm an elected Democratic District Leader of the 38th Assembly District, Male Part B, delegate to the Judicial Convention, county committeeman, a community advocate, and an attorney at law. I'm also the president of the United Communities Alliance, an organization that seeks to empower and improve the quality of life of all residents, regardless of race, religion, or national origin living in Queens, the place that best defines us as a nation of immigrants. Our goals are to consolidate residents of the districts into active participation for the betterment of the districts, to fight for fair redistricting, to develop coalitions of neighborhood organizations and groups, to foster a greater civic voice for the community, and to solve issues and problems confronting our neighborhoods of Richmond Hill, Ozone Park, South Ozone Park, and Woodhaven. My district comprises of a large portion of this area, which is popularly referred to as Little Guyana. Many of my constituents are South Asian, West Indian, Indo-Caribbeans. South Asian, West Indians, Indo-Caribbeans. I'll refer to them hereinafter as SAWICs, who want their voices to be heard. They do not want to be left behind and continue to be treated like orphans. Like everyone else, they are proud to be Americans. Many have died fighting to preserve America's freedom and have collectively shed their blood, sweat, and tears for a great country. And so they ask you, why are we being relegated to second-class citizens when we want to work with you and be part of the political process and reflect that diversity in our government in New York State? Although deportation and building inspectophobia have caused a grave undercount, we aggregate at least 300,000 SAWICs in this area called Little Guyana alone. Yet, because of this pattern of injustice and exclusion, there is no SAWIC elected to office in city, state, or federal government. Gerrymandering is the root of all evil. It has produced the same social, political, and economic injustices and subclasses as slavery, and must be seen as its vile twin. They are therefore petitioning you as abolitionists in the fervent hope and belief that you will show the leadership and sense of justice and fair play to reform this putrid system. The record of the last transcript of these hearings held 10 years ago confirmed that nothing was done to alleviate this shameful state of affairs, and I submit that as Exhibit A. We need to remind ourselves that taxation without representation is un-American, and that constitutes a sin against humanity. Discrimination and racism strangle the everyday existence of SAWICs to the status of second-class citizens. Police harassment and profiling, quota ticketing and revenue fines, closure of hospitals, medical centers and schools, kids subjected to filthy, overcrowded trailer parks for classrooms, home foreclosures, harassment from the city's building inspectors and sanitation, spiraling unemployment, increased taxes and the cost of living have marginalized them from government services and funding, and has underscored their need for representation at all levels of government. Their plight is best understood with the closings of our area hospitals, Mary Immaculate and St. John's, the threatened closures of John Adams and Richmond High Schools, 10% rate of unemployment, high home foreclosures, and small business closures in our district. We do not even have a health clinic, community center, daycare center, non-denominational senior center, social services center, even a job training center, and as we said, even escalators at our subways or elevators. No other community comes close to this paradigm of utter despair. All across America, SAWICs have been elected to be governors, as was Bobby Jindal and Nikki Haley in Louisiana and South Carolina in 2007 and 2010 respectively, and in other states such as in California, to other offices where Dalip Singh Saud, a Democrat and naturalized American citizen, served in the House from 1957 to 1963. In fact, 2010 marked the most number of candidates of Indian origin running for political offices in the United States. Yet, in New York State, the gateway for immigrants and the most diverse capital of the world, we remain ostracized and marginalized from governmental inclusion. It is a crying shame. Right-thinking Americans, like Abraham Lincoln, Emma Lazarus, and others, are surely turning in their graves. I have never run for office as a SAWIC per se, but as a proud American of Indo-Caribbean heritage, championing mainstream issues that affect all constituents, regardless of color, creed, or class, as you can see from our website as Exhibit B, www.albertbaldeo.com. In 2006, I almost won a state Senate seat when I came within 1% of defeating a 20-year incumbent, Senator Sirf Maltese. I repeat, in 2006, I almost won a state Senate seat when I came within 1% of defeating a 20-year incumbent who was the chairman of the Queen's Republican Party, Senator Sirf Maltese. In fact, if the election was governed by the rules that apply to other states, Maltese could not have combined the third-party votes from the conservative and independent lines to the Republican votes he got. And as the Daily News, New York Times, Times Ledger, CNC, and others put it, to squeak past me, and I submitted to Exhibit C. That election established that Saviks have the numbers and support to win a state Senate seat. It is part of the public record. In fact, Saviks are one of the largest growing groups in Queens County and have earned the right to representation in the State Assembly and Senate, Congress, and in the City Council as well, encompassing the neighborhood communities of Richmond Hill, Ozone Park, South Ozone Park, Woodhaven, Briarwood, Hollis, Belrose, Floral Park, Queens Village, Jamaica, Jackson Heights, and other neighborhoods, as will be presented by my colleague, Mr. John Albert, and others. Speaking for my district specifically, Saviks are divided and gerrymandered in the City Council Districts 28, 30, and 32, Senate Districts 10 and 15, and Assembly Districts 25, 23, 31, 32, and 38, and do not constitute the majority in any of these districts. Consequently, it is very difficult and almost impossible for a Savik candidate to win a seat at the city, state, or federal level. After my groundbreaking run in 2006, I was persuaded by the Democratic leadership, to put it mildly, to join forces with its favorite candidate, Councilman Joe Dabo Jr., with the understanding, and I quote, the Democratic Party is a big tent, and your community will get its own district as soon as we secure the majority. Not only did we save the DSSC hundreds of thousands of dollars in avoiding the costly primary, but we gave tremendous assistance, resources, and strategy to Democrats to win back the state Senate, as is documented on my website and in the press. The road to this historic state Senate majority did pass through Richmond Hill and Ozone Park, but we were then dumped under the bus. Yes, we were pivotal to Democrats securing the state Senate majority since 1965 and ensuring that State Senator Malcolm Smith make history as the first Afro-American to hold that exalted position. But alas, our community received nothing, and that debt is still owed. I'm informed that Tony Gurpal Singh received employment benefits, member items, and funding, but that was a personal gain to him and did not benefit the wider community. Dr. Martin Luther King's guidance is instructive when he said that you should not make others exiles in their own land, and that you should judge each person by their content and character. Our Constitution still speaks to us collectively as we the people. So we have come to cash this check, reminding you of the fierce urgency of now and the sins and omissions of the past. Karma has a way of reminding us that we should not repeat past transgressions. It will be an unforgivable travesty for you to give us back our deserving check again marked insufficient funds. When Councilman Tom White, who severely neglected our community and treated the Van Wyck Expressway as a truncated board of this district, died earlier this year, we sought the seat. Naturally, because our community has been divided into several political districts, we could not carry over and consolidate that huge block of vote I secured in my adjoining district leaders race into this city council race, because the district lines prohibited that. In fact, the attached diagram shows how our community is divided between city council districts 32 and 38. That is between council members Eric Ulrich and Ruben Wills, Exhibit D. Historically, constituents west of the Van Wyck Expressway feel exiled from District 28 and belong more naturally to City Council District 32. The illogical divisions of these communities of common interest are duplicated in the assembly districts, where we are also segregated into 5 assembly districts. Even the most cynical amongst you will agree that we have the numbers to support our own seat when you aggregate the fact that Dr. Taj Rajkumar, another Savik, is a district leader in the adjoining 31st Assembly District. Since the district leadership constitutes one half of an assembly district, then surely our two halves can make a whole. The Supreme Court has recognized the following factors to be used in the drawing of district lines. 1, compactness and contiguity, respecting political subdivisions, preserving communities of interest and race, meeting political goals. Federal courts have recognized cultural background, economic status, common media markets, shared community services and organizations, including health clinics, stores, public transportation, workplaces, voting patterns, common language and dialects, and common country of origin as factors in shared community concerns in drawing district lines. Here, we are not asking you to cut a district in 2 counties or 3, as was done in Congressional District 7 and 12, respectively. The courts have upheld the community of interest doctrine as legal, and have kept these communities together across the different county lines of Queens and the Bronx, and Queens, Manhattan, and Brooklyn, respectively. In Diaz and Silva, in the citations in my submission, in a constitutional challenge to New York's 12th Congressional District, it was successfully argued that Asian Americans in Manhattan's Chinatown and Brooklyn Sunset Park neighborhoods constituted a community of interest that should be kept together within a single district, hence the threat of the lawsuit to make this right. It therefore behooves you to draw an assembly district with the Van Wyck Expressway to the east, Crosby Boulevard or Woodhaven Boulevard to the west, Hillside Avenue to the north, and the South Conduit or Bell Parkway to the south, and I submit that as Exhibit E, and I drew the map for you so there'll be no nothing left to banter about. That is where the critical mass is in my district. Other SAVIC districts can also be drawn in Queens County, but I do not have the data on those, and my friend John Albert will supply with those. A painful reality is that many elected officials take SAVIC's money but forget that we even exist after taking office, including former Governor Spitzer. Sadly, we do not need to be reminded of where that money went. Some state senators and assembly members told SAVICs that they have to be enslaved before they can be elected to anything, and they become very dismissive when reminded that SAVIC forefathers actually were, and that they were practicing racism against smaller minority groups. Some do not even take calls from SAVICs about issues that should be confronted in our community. SAVICs simply don't exist in their eyes. I was actually told that in the last election that I was the most qualified candidate by the media, labor unions, and other organizations who interviewed all candidates for endorsements, but that they could not endorse me because they were not sure I could win the Splinter District. The needs of all Americans, including SAVICs, must be met in terms of education, housing, health, social, economic, and human services, as well as representation in the legislature. The legislative districts must be compact, contiguous, and concise, and reflect the community characteristic and embodied in local neighborhoods, a fundamental requirement that was obviously breached in the 2000 redistricting. And I submit that the numbers are there. We have drawn them up. They're part of my exhibits. The rest of my, the denied jobs at Kennedy Airport, lack of development because of lack of representation. And the time has come, because of the taxes we pay and because of the indelible impression we've made in this community and in America, that the time has come when you must not precipitate this American tragedy any longer. We therefore urge you to redraw boundaries that will preserve their community of interest, their traditions, and their common history. And we ask you that you do so without further delay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes. I stand between